Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, BNI. This is Gaurav Tekriwal, and it's a pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to Ideal Stories. So, before we go on, I would like all of you to just interact with me. Say hello if you're watching in the chat box. I can see that a lot of followers are joining us from the BNI Ideal chapter. And if you are really watching this, just type in a hello or a message for us so that we can address it later in the show. So, guys, Ideal Stories is the baby of the new LT, and we have particularly launched this segment to give more visibility to all our Ideal members. As we learned in the MSP program, that visibility plus credibility is equal to profitability. So, we would like to give each and every one members in our chapter the chance to come on Ideal Stories and share your stories. Today, we have a very well accomplished author, and she's a clinical psychologist and also now turning into an entrepreneur. So, I would be happy to welcome Pragati Sureka to Ideal Stories. Hello,
Hello,
Pragati
Eric.
ji. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Hi.
It's a great pleasure to have you on the show, Pragati. You're an author, clinical psychologist, and now you're even becoming an entrepreneur. So we would love to have your story with us. But before we go on, tell us about your student days, the early days of your life. Tell us about that.
Gaurav I love this trip down the memory lane that you are taking me to, because student days, I think for most of us have been a time of great passion, fun, and perhaps learning also. I don't think any of us were that excited about learning, but now when we look back, we realize how much we have learned. Like, for
Absolutely.
example, I remember, the skill of multitasking came to me when I was in my boarding school in class 7. Now, what was multitasking at that time? Doing your homework, when we had prep, doing your homework, chatting with your friend, passing a note to another person, as well as eating some tuck which somebody had got. So the art of multitasking as well as staying focused, or what we say, the business like face, that I think skill developed as a young child in my boarding school.
So which school was that? Tell
That
us
was
about that.
Yes, absolutely. That was Maharani Gayatri Devi Girls Public School in Jaipur.
And you certainly have some accomplishments there. And tell us about your college life and any higher studies which you have done.
Absolutely. So while I was at school, I was always a good student. So studying was never much of a challenge. Sports was another thing that made me very, very passionate. And I was like a state level basketball player while at school. So when I came to college, the obvious choice was studying science. And that is where, the story gets a lot more interesting because at that juncture, I wanted to become an engineer. Now, my father was from a hardcore business family, and he was like, engineer, what will you do with engineering? Which is so different from, I think, business families today, where, tech is ruling business, right? Whether it's the Silicon Valley or all over the globe, there is nothing without technology that is working. So anyway, so he was like, "Beta, engineering करके क्या होगा हमको तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है." I was like, okay. And I told him, Dad, I think I should quit studying then because this is what my passion is. He's like, no, 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 no. Anyway, I was quite spoiled by my father now that I look back, because those days where not many girls went to office, not many girls hung around in their father's chamber. Some of my earliest memories is going up the kiln of a cement plant and seeing how a cement plant works. So when I was in college, it was my daily routine to kind of go for a round to the factory with him to see how things were working. And now when I look back, it was actually quite unconventional in Orissa for a young girl to, go to a cement factory and see how things were done. So college life, while it was a lot of fun with friends and which I did, but I realized that don't be restricted by gender roles is something which I learned in my college days and essentially because of my father. He's not a very vocal man, and he probably had his own notions. Like, in some ways, when you look at it, he was very patriarchal. What will you do with engineering? That's a different thing that I defied him, and I sat for my JE I, of course,
Mhm.
didn't clear it because I foolishly had thought that without preparation, you can clear the JEE, just with my class 12 syllabus. So the other day I was watching Kota Express, I think, on Netflix, and I
Mhm.
was just thinking that had I really, really prepared for JEE, that's what my life would have been like. But what I learned in my college days is the sky is the limit. Don't stop yourself from doing anything. And like I tell my students now, or even counselees or people at trainees at workshop, that the purpose of life is to have fun. Which, if you see my college pictures and all that, I had a lot of fun. But what I say is, you can only have fun if you're being the best that you can be, if you can amalgamate your passion, your ability, and your personality. So, college days were days where I found myself and came into my own.
Absolutely. So, and quite a life you had back then in studying in the boarding school, and of course going to college after that. How did the passion for psychology came about? Tell us more about it.
Passion for psychology came much later in life, actually. That
Hmm.
came after I moved to Calcutta. By
Hmm.
then, I was married young, and I had my son, who at
Hmm.
3 years of age, by then I had forgotten my days at the cement factory and probably doing what any typical married housewife in the first 2, 3 years of marriage. Rather, it was 5 years by then. My son was 3 years
Hmm.
old, and I was raising him, and I thought that I was doing a fabulous job of it. Till one day he told me that, Mom, what is it that you do the whole day? Somebody is cooking, somebody is doing things, you're only yelling at me and not letting me watch TV. And I was heartbroken. I was like, excuse me.
Ah,
And that's when I realized that, talking human minds interested me. So I went in for a diploma at a local institute. And that's when I realized that I had a lot of passion for psychology. And psychology was not just understanding your own mind, but actually getting into the skin of the other person and really listening. Because when you listen to another, you connect. And that's where you have better relationships, whether at work or at home. So, with psychology, I discovered the second phase of my learning, or rather studying, and I went on to do my master's from Nottingham, a lot of professional courses from Harvard Medical School, as well as Cambridge. I went to Cambridge and I did courses from the Psychometric Center, and the sky is the limit, as they say.
wow. And I believe there's a Harvard connection as well. You want to talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So I remember again, the best part of training to be a psychologist is they make you do a lot of intensive work on yourself. Who are
Hmm.
you? Who do you want to be? What are those dreams and passions which perhaps you did not pursue? What can you do about it now? So, what I've always loved about psychology is that point where you can grow however you want. Like yesterday, I was attending a session for women who are transitioning into leadership by IIM, Calcutta.
Hmm.
And there I remember what the teacher spoke about. Early on, it used to be about convergent thinking or thinking typically in one direction. But now it's like in fact, she made a very pertinent point. When we were all growing up, it was important to be clear headed, right? I'm sure you've heard it, I've heard it. Think
Absolutely.
clearly, have a clear thought process. But she said now it's about thinking like a rhizome, think in different directions. So if you
Wow.
are confused, means the sky is the limit. You can't be persuaded against your ideals. If you're clear headed, someone can just win down your agreement. So, like, we were watching a clip of the movie My Cousin Vinny, where if you're
Hmm.
very convinced, if the person, your opponent knows where you are standing, just needs to axe you from one direction. But if you are someone who's multifaceted, who can think
Hmm.
in terms of different directions, what happens is you grow. So, coming to the
Right.
point of Howard, I just wrote to them. Actually, I read about one of the programs that they were having, and I sent her my work profile and my interests. And I was very happy. I was accepted for a Harvard Medical School conference where a lot
Wow.
of doctors, clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, as well as a lot of people who were part of the network were there. So there I was as a delegate with about 500 people being taught by professors of Harvard on various facets of PTSD. And, that's where my interest came into the fourth wave of psychology, on tenets like mindfulness. And I realized that, in the West, they are doing so much studies about emotional intelligence, the benefits of meditation. And here, while we do it, we don't look at it from a scientific perspective. We still call
Right.
it alternate. But now it's moved to another direction where people
Mhm.
are actually treating it like the latest scientific breakthrough.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. So, after your academics and your passion for psychology, I want to ask you in simple terms, in layman terms, how can anybody benefit from your services? And tell us about your services, especially from the point of view of BNI. So, tell us about how can a normal person get help by your services. Tell us about that a bit, please.
Firstly, I'll tell you, first thing that you need to benefit from my services per se is be interested in your own self development and growth. Because, like they say, you can take the donkey to the water, but you can't make the donkey drink it. So, you have to have a passion for your own self, for your own growth as a person, as a business person, as well as a community leader. Because, situations don't happen in isolation, situations happen together. You are a parent, you are a spouse, you are running your own business or working for somebody, as well as you're part of a larger community. So, in that, if you are struggling with any issue, it could be big or small. Like sometimes people feel that I'm getting very stressed out. I don't know why. I'm not
Yeah,
sleeping well at night, or I'm not bonding well with my kids. There's nothing wrong, but sometimes they're just not listening, or I don't feel like sharing. Or even at work, you feel, what am I doing? Sometimes I have people say that I make enough money, but I just don't like the work I do. So
true.
these kind of discrepancies where your emotions or your reality is not making you as comfortable as you wanted, I'm there for you. And how is it that I do? One is through books, through therapy, of course, where we could talk, group sessions, because see, where we are, it's very, very important. Birds of a feather flock together. So sometimes, training workshops for specific teams or the organizational culture, whether you're a small organization of 20 people or thousands of people, it's very, very important. There's a culture of emotional intelligence, and that is not something, like in academics we always had that topper in maths who seem to know all the answers. You are the maths whiz, so you know that, people who like maths, people were a little wary of them, and I'm sure, Gaurav ji, you have faced that while growing up, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're bang on. But before I go on and know more about the work that you do, I have a testimonial from a very special person and our senior most member in BNI. So I would like to welcome Alifia Calcutta Wala. Alifia, are you there?
Of course, I'm very much there. I hope you all can hear me.
I would love to see you as well.
I don't know why you can't see me. Oh, can you see me
Oh,
now?
now you can. Yes, yes,
Love
absolutely.
it. Hello, Pragati.
Hi, Alifia. What a nice
Uh,
surprise.
it's. I think it was a surprise for me because when Gaurav asked me that, can you? I said, of course I can. Of course I will, and I will, and I can. Of course. So yeah. And he said, would you be would you have anything to say for Pragati? So I was just wondering when I was just putting my thoughts together that I would have a lot to say about you, but wherever I begin? But let me just start by saying it's such a pleasure meeting you, Pragati. This was around a year back, and of course through the BNI platform. So thank you and grateful for that. And I'm getting to know you. Of course, I don't know you completely, which I never will, but I'm in the process, and the journey has certainly begun. Uh, and I'm sure it's going to be an extremely fulfilling one. So thank you, BNI, for giving this platform where we got together. Now, coming to what I like about her, of course, I love her passion towards her work, and there's no two ways about it. How she has absolutely chartered this path is incredible. I mean,
Wow.
she's an inspiration definitely for me, for sure, because how she started her career only recently and how through her determination and perseverance has achieved quite a bit, and yet she still keeps learning and growing and probably teaching. Case in point, Pragati, I think I must have seen every video that you post on mental health, and I thank you for that. What I like about it, it addresses a very specific issue each time and also gives a possible solution, and it's crisp and short. So I love those, and I do share it with my friends, and some of them find it really very useful. Oh, and by the way, your hope book. Okay, your hope book, it's a fantastic one. I love the book. It was a very short read. I finished it in almost 40 45 minutes, but it is a beautiful book with enduring stories driving home very important learning. So I like what you write. I will not talk about the poetries that you have written, because I think that will take another session altogether when we start talking about each of those poetries, because has a it talks to me at various levels. Of course, I love the counseling. In fact, let's forget about that. But the counseling session that you undertake in the capacity of being a clinical psychologist has been appreciated a lot. I mean, I remember, if you remember, Pragati, there was this referral I passed to you. I don't want to mention the names, but yes, that person has been extremely satisfied with your session, your counseling session. So I would not want to keep
So much.
ranting. I don't want to. I can keep going on this monologue, but I guess this is for you. This is your story. So I would probably ask Gaurav to take over. But before that, Pragati, I wish you the very best in your journey as a mentor, as a coach, as a leader, as an author, and everything in between. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
Olivia.
Gaurav.
That was really wonderful, and I'm honored to hear these words. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Gaurav, for inviting me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you. Loved you. So we'll catch up soon. Bye for now. Thank you, Olivia.
Take care. Bye.
All right. So, I mean, your book is being talked about. So let's talk about your book. Let me show everybody a picture of your book, which is about to help raise emotionally healthy children and stories for a healthy mind. I see that book displayed also in your background. Let's talk about your book. How did that happen? I mean, all this knowledge and you put it up summarized very well as hope. Let's talk about that a bit.
So, what happened is I have been a therapist now for more than 10 years. And what I have seen is these days, thanks to movies, thanks to the COVID situation, and thanks to growing awareness about mental health issues, a lot of parents want to seek help, for their children. But while they come to fix up their child, there are unfortunately certain patterns at home that need to be fixed up. It's a bit like going to a dentist. And Sankalp, if you are hearing, you know it. You can do a fantastic job of filling up the cavities, but if someone does not brush regularly, all that will happen is you're just visiting the dentist for one tooth followed by another one or the third one. So just like to prevent cavities from forming or any dental health issues, you have to brush daily. To take care of mental health, especially for children, there have to be certain patterns at home which are very conducive for growth. You have to do certain daily mental health care tips. Now there are certain things as parents you need to ensure for your child to thrive and get emotionally intelligent. One is when the child goes to bed, give the child a tight hug, like not just a cursory one while dancing on your phone or, shouting instructions to somebody else or, looking at your computer or doing five other things. Literally hug a child as though all the energy of the world is there in your hug. Hug your child with love and tell that child, I love you. And the funny thing is, it's not just for very young children. However old your child is, at least till 15, 16, 18, if they let you, please give your child a good hug, pat them on their face, and just tap their head softly and say, I love you. You are sunshine, you are joy. Now, what happens is, as parents, we start telling them, you are pretty, you are intelligent, tum अच्छे से काम करो. So we become very transactional in our relationship with our children without realizing it. So children start feeling only if they look in a particular way, only if they behave in a particular way, or they perform in a particular way, their parents love them. That love is conditional. Now think about it. Do you like anyone loving you conditionally? So,
No,
so,
God.
so imagine that young child. If that child always feels judged, and the child may be good in studies, may not be good in studies, but if you hug a child like that, that child will tell you, "Ki, look, mama, I'm not able to study because I get distracted," or "Papa, my teacher is not paying enough attention to me," or "I feel I'm lagging behind," or "when I write, my hand aches." So the specific problems that a child is happening. These days, a lot of parents get children to me for testing for ADHD because children are distracted. They are on gadgets all the time, or they are not writing enough. Many a times I've seen, while there is a portion of children who are diagnosed with ADHD or learning difficulties and who need specific help, but for many, many children, all that needs to be done is maybe sit with them for half an hour with no distractions and give them regular writing practice, especially if you are in one of the regular ICSC, CBSE curriculum board, where the rote learning curriculum is there. So you need to practice your answers. There are the 4 hours of learning: read, write, revise, rewrite. So parents
Ah,
are expecting their children to do it, but now tuition teachers are not teaching them. In the classroom, also, the lecture is given like in a college hall, and they are not practicing at home. Result: when they have to produce the output at the end of the session, they are not able to write. Sometimes it's just that their motor skills have not developed and they're not able to write properly. So, till a child does not practice writing for 1 hour every day for a month, I do not like to test a child for learning difficulty. Then I realize that when I tell parents individually, they take it personally, because all said and done, you are a parent, I am a parent. Would you say you would intentionally harm your child?
not at all.
And you would do exactly, you would do what is best, but sometimes there is a bit of ignorance. So I realize that when there is a book out there, parents will automatically introspect ki, are there some patterns because of which my child is floundering at school? ऐसा कोई चीज है जिसके कारण वो थोड़ा डिस्ट्रैक्टेड है, और कोई इशू है क्या घर में, कोई और फैमिली मेंबर उनको क्रिटिसाइज कर रहा है? सो व्हेन पेरेंट्स हैव अ टूल, कोई बोलता है तो किसी को अच्छा नहीं लगता है, बट व्हेन पेरेंट्स हैव दैट टूल कि ओ मे बी ये हो रहा है, शायद इसीलिए दिस चाइल्ड इज नॉट एबल टू डू वेल, a lot of sensitive topics are very simply captured in the form of stories. So that is why hope was born.
Wow, we'll take a break for a breather break for a minute or so. We have audience who is watching us live as we go. So there are a lot of messages have come in. We have a message from Kunal Jain who says hola, and then we have, let's see, Deven Doshi who also says hello. Hi Deven. Alka Jain says hi. Abhishek Datta, congratulations on your book. Great book, Pragati. And then one more slight thing here. Somebody's saying great initiative by the LT. Big up to Ideal. So I mean, these things are still coming in, guys. If you're watching, please send us any questions you would have for Pragati ji, and we'll be happy to get them answered. So moving on from here on. So how did BNI happen? Share your BNI story with us. I mean, so much academics and then jumping into business and turning yourself as an entrepreneur. So tell us about that a bit.
So BNI happened thanks to Payal Chitlangya. We've been friends for a very long time. Our daughters are best friends, and we of course work together also. I would do psychometric testing for a lot of students who want to go to college. I had shared with you early on that I went to Cambridge in the UK to train in psychometric testing, apart from my master's in clinical psychology, where testing is of course taught. And Payal told me one day that, Pragati, why don't you join in? And she, of course, knew of my passion for social work as well as learning and helping people learn and growing in the process. Together we
Yeah.
grow. And as I can see the BNI slogan in front of me, growing forward together, she said, Pragati, why don't you come there? Also, when I wrote Hope, and especially Musings, the poetry book that Alifia was talking about, I realized that I cannot market myself. That's an area of growth for me, and there is an inherent hesitancy in me. So a book like this needs to go to every household possible. For 300 rupees, something that we spend on a cup of coffee for two people, or maybe, just on a random meal or a chart or something we don't even think about. But for 300 rupees, we can bring mental health and wellness into our households and into the lives of our loved ones. I realized I needed a network and a platform when I spoke to Payal to take this message across in my city, in my country, and across the globe. And what better platform than the BNI to do it?
No, absolutely. I mean, uh, BNI, personally speaking, has helped me grow and evolve and take care of my hesitancy to, promote myself, to market myself. So, it's been 3.5 years for myself also in BNI. And I think I have evolved in terms of a lot of areas in my life. So I completely echo the thoughts which you have about BNI. So how has BNI helped you grow your business? You want to talk about
First
that?
is learning to pitch myself. 40 seconds. It used to be a huge challenge for me to talk about myself, like I'm doing this and this is how you could help me and this is how I will help you. And I love the ethos of BNI that I can help you and this is how you could help me, when we ask for referrals, when we give. So I think just that hesitancy, it was a huge mind block in my own head, which I realized, a lot of times when you've been practicing for a while, we don't say it, but we all like to think that, oh, I know how to sort it out. Like, I'm sure you feel that about maths and about business in general. Oh, it's so easy. But once in a while, it's fun if you come across something which seems a little difficult to calculate or not. So BNI was very tough for me initially. One, it was online, seeing all the faces, even pitching. So I learned how to talk crisp, talk lean, and to the point, and connect to somebody by talking. So that is one thing which I learned. Secondly, I learned to dream big. The BNI journey I saw, there was a lot of mentoring workshops which were there. Individuals have mentored me. There have been group workshops that I have attended. How to make a feature presentation, how to uh, you know there were a lot of things, how to grow your business. So a lot of these programs helped me find that aspect of myself, that entrepreneurial brain, which was lying dormant for a very, very long time.
You now have a website as well, emotionalabilityresources.com. So,
Absolutely. And that's all thanks to BNI, the connections which were there, the website got designed, how to process it. And like you rightly said, Gauravji, today we are going to launch it. And I think it's all thanks to BNI and the support I've got from the members and champions. Thank you so much, everybody, for helping me evolve and continuing to grow.
so, people, at this point, I would like to really, really urge you to visit the website of Pragati Sureka, emotionalabilityresources.com. I would like to repeat that one more time. Please do visit emotionalabilityresources.com. And it's a fantastic website. I just seen it, and it's an honor to also launch it right now as you all speak. I think this is the first time we're speaking about it, right, Pragati?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you can go on the website. If you have a problem with depression, stress management, or any other problems, issues which Pragati can solve, you all you need to do is book an appointment and she'll be there for you, helping you. So I would like you all to again visit emotionalabilityresources.com. People, show us some love and send the traffic her way. So Pragati, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I see myself with two more books. I'm on the verge of signing the contract for my third book, which, for a sneak peek, it's actually a handbook of different emotions that we have. A lot of times, if you see the name also, which is their emotional ability resources, most of us are very scared of being emotional because being emotional means we always think that being emotional means I'll get carried away, I will lose my cool. But what we don't realize is with emotions, we can actually manage our conflicts skillfully. We can grow, and that innate emotional intelligence, we can choose how to respond to situations rather than react. So then what happens is we don't get stuck in power plays, we don't get stuck in poor performance at work. A lot of times we also blame, I didn't have these resources, I didn't go to a foreign university, my parents couldn't send me here, or these are the challenges I have in life. I have too many responsibilities. So we develop a victim mentality, where we feel ki,
True.
Are, option ही नहीं है, or the most common one ki I'm stuck in Cal, which is not a business hub. People are so
Hmm.
laid back, no one wants to do your work. So the whole point of emotional ability resources are agreed. This doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. But what works? Are there some things which work? So you focus on strength building, you learn to focus on coordination, you actually realize that with your mind you can grow your business better than anyone else, because the way you feel passionate about your business, the way you connect to what is yours, your baby, no one else does. Someone may have expertise, no doubt about that, but when you put your heart and soul and use your emotions, you can grow your business, improve your own performance, and be charged about your business, about your growth, like it's the best thing to happen to you.
Super. My last question to you is, if you want to leave the audience with a message, any message
Sure.
for our viewers?
Absolutely. So my only message is, have an issue, give ear to it. Now, what is giving ear? First, you listen. If you feel that you're having a lot of arguments at home, perhaps you don't know what is happening. You're arguing about the smallest of things, the temperature of the room, the way you hang your towel or leave it on the bed, or the kind of food which is being cooked. Absolutely day to day things. And you feel, ki, oh, it happens to everyone. No, it doesn't happen to everyone. That's not an excuse. It may happen to everyone. I mean, sorry for using a crude example. There are people who beg and they feel that's the way to earn their living. Would you want to do that? No, right? You want to grow your business and become independent. Now, why are there beggars? That's a sociological issue. I'm not going there, and I don't want to offend anyone's sentiments when I say this. But here, what we talk about is, when can we start taking personal responsibility? So, if you are arguing too much and you don't know why, if you're stressed out at work, where you feel I'm so burnt out, काम में मन नहीं लग रहा है,
Hmm.
returns नहीं आ रहे हैं, क्या करें? So any of these issues, if you have, give ear to it. First, take a pen and paper and write down. What are the pros? What are the cons? What is really happening? Most of the time, we don't even want to write down because we don't want to acknowledge. We are so scared,
True.
पता नहीं क्या निकलेगा. If I'm arguing, I don't even want to write down. पता नहीं क्या क्या दिमाग में चल रहा है. Ignore करना better है. But ignore करने से क्या है ना, अंदर से दिमाग लग जाता है, अंदर ही अंदर मेंटल हेल्थ, वेलनेस जो है वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज हो जाता है. सो फर्स्ट वी नीड टू get in touch with our emotions. So when we pay attention, then we can think of what emotional ability resources to use to feel better, to get out of their zone. Like as Carl Rogers said, human beings are intrinsically good. Their core is very nice. Nobody wants to fight. No one wants to argue. No one wants to be mean to another, right?
Right, absolutely. So, on that note, I would like to invite all our viewers to Pragati Sureka's workshop on December 15th at where is this, Pragati? Where is this happening? Tell us more about that.
So this is actually a webinar which is happening with the Electrical Association of India. So here what happens is, they are actually going to figure out something which is hardcore engineering line. We always think that electrical engineers, and how is it that they look at their emotional well-being, this concept of emotional well-being with emotional ability resources. Because especially in COVID times, if you see everyone, I don't know a single individual who has not got stressed out, including
True.
me. Either it's the health of the loved one, business has suffered, for most people. Yes, there are some, like those who must not be named, who are into diagnostics and all, who probably made a killing. But by and large, everyone has grown, has really, really suffered, or felt that, what should I say, that down phase. Even people who have probably made the money have been so tired, seeing their doctors have been performing round the clock. They themselves have seen so many deaths. While monetarily they may have been satisfaction, but the whole air of gloom and the amount of positive reports which have come in, it has brought down the morale in a very different way. So this stress has led people to realize that their mental health is not something which can be ignored. So today, I think what organizations are doing and networks are doing is holding workshops for their members, where they can understand how they can take care of their emotional well-being. So let there be stress, yes there is death, yes there is a global virus threat which is mutating again and again, and questions about life and death which most of us don't really speak about because we feel it's so morose, has suddenly become drawing room conversation. So all these networks in India and abroad are holding a lot of these webinars. So I was lucky to kind of pioneer this concept with the group of electrical engineers, where they will actually learn how to take care of their mental health on a daily basis with emotional ability resources.
Super, super. It was amazing to see you get nurtured in BNI and to turn from a academician also to a entrepreneur. And I'm sure on that note, you're going to take the flag high of mental well-being across the world. I wish you more power to you, and may God bless. And on that note, I would like to thank you for being on our guest, everybody. And thank you, Pragati, for being there with us today. And it was a real pleasure and an honor, a personal honor for me to be there asking you a few questions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. It's really been a pleasure, and thank you everybody for watching me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.